Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to go over PerfecShion, aka Jet Tactician Shion, and I'm going to do a little bit of gameplay and let you know what I think about him. But the most important question of all is he hot or not?
Yeah, he's hot. I'm attracted to brilliant minds just like my Mensa hubby.
Oh, thank you. Anyways, Jet Tactician Shion is our first preemptive magic zone setter. He can actually set magic zones through two methods, one of which is VCing in, which also sets that and gives MP restore 15%. Note that he can awaken zone, and when he's in an awakened zone, his another sense is crit guaranteed for everybody. Also note that at the beginning of battle, he starts with one insight orb, which can switch weaknesses and resistances, and at the end of turn will boost everyone's int depending on the number of magic moves done that turn, 15 to the maximum of 60%. Alright, so he does have a lot of moves, and unfortunately he does suffer from 3-move syndrome. So attack order is the one you're obviously going to use. Preemptively deploy magic zone and also inflict break. Useful in both fronts for obviously preemptive break and allowing your DPS to do tons of damage. He also has some other moves. This one I wouldn't say is very useful. I mean, you can do fire AoE, small damage increase when target is inflicted. There's also the Gurren Cannon, which is very interesting, and I will show you that one a little bit later on in the video. Fire type magic attack AoE times 3 medium, strength increased depending on the number of enemies. At max 5 enemies, you get a multiplier of 30%, which is actually his strongest move if you can get 5 enemies. There aren't many opportunities to do that, although a few fights do feature that, which, like I said, I'll show you later on in the video. Also, when in another zone, party MP consumption minus 50% for 3 turns, which is not a bad bonus as well. You can even use that on its own to kind of conserve MP as necessary. And finally, his 2 major 5-star moves. This is his spam move, Suzaku Encirclement, fire type magic attack. Note that it's a single enemy only times 3 XL. Increased strength when enemy has weaknesses. And also when a zone is deployed, it will awaken zone and the damage is increased. So obviously, he does function like most altars off another zone. The good thing is he can awaken his own zone. And remember that awakened zone only lasts for 2 turns, after which the zone is dissipated unless you have things like RCF, which will extend it to 4 turns. And Illusion Brat Dragon is a fire AoE XL, increases the party's weak point damage by a multiplier of 1. So an extra double damage against weakness on average. When another zone is deployed, all party members will get their mental focus, which is increased magic damage based on their max MP. So there is a condition there that he can set mental focus for the whole party. However, since his spam move is already going to awaken zone, you'll almost always be able to deploy the Illusion Black Dragon. If not, put another altar in and help you do that. And finally, I forgot to mention Scorch Earth. I don't really think this one's too valuable, being that you'll probably use other units that can apply fire type resist even at double resistance, which is minus 60%. RCF, for example, can do up to 75% in awakened zone. And here's his 5-star board. Remember that I am using MP consumption as usual. And note that he is a cat lover and Eastern as well as a staff personality. So you can find a lot of almighty power Graster to share with him. Same standard stuff. Add your own customizations as needed. Okay, so let's take him out for a spin. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So, obviously, against weaker enemies, Jet Tactician is a brilliant mastermind on the battlefield. Blast, gone. Nothing much to speak of here. And then we'll just take on the horror. Note that in this case, my PerfecShion cannot set pain, as with most of my 5-star reviews. They are all geared towards DPS, and so we do need a pain setter on the team to help maximize Alter Shion's damage. That being said, normally you would preemptively set your zone, and then you could either Suzaku Encirclement to awaken it, or if you have someone else to awaken it, you can do that right away. And then you can use Black Illusion to give him mental focus. So depending on who's setting zone, you'll use those moves in certain orders. Now in our first example, we're going to find a fight that has 5 enemies to maximize that Duran cannon to show you the massive ability of that in rare instances. Note that it can also be used in AoE type attacks when clearing mobs over the overworld, since you'll almost always run to at least 3 if not 4, and Suzaku Encirclement, although a very powerful DPS move, is a single target attack. And so we one turned it off in Fire Zone, awakened it with RCF, allowing Alter Shion to do his own setup. We are using Garyu manifested in this fight. He's also a strong DPS, and I have a 5-star review which I'll link below. However, his role is actually to give staff boost and weapon damage increase to Alter Shion. Not only that, he is a massive DPS, so we can use him to punch through one of the 2 HP stoppers of Suzette's True Manifest. Watch the damage here. Holy smokes. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of damage. So many numbers, we can't even see the exact amount that's being done, but you know the fight's ended anyways. And remember that even though the move says medium damage, like I said, at the top range, 5 enemies, I believe the multiplier is over 3,000, which is actually comparable to something like Neptune on Flamelopus. So just keep in mind how powerful that is. And also remember that the Suzaku Encirclement does have some qualifiers. It needs Zone Awaken. It also needs Weakness to the enemy in order for you to maximize that damage. Although even outside some of those capabilities, at least in another zone, it can do a respectable amount of damage. And of course, we do have Mariel, in this case, carrying our Grasta for us, since she is also a cat lover. Didn't have an Eastern sharing Grasta, so keep that in mind as well. Alright, so in our next example, we're going to show you the power of the Paper Tiger, which is his Uno reverse card, aka switching using the Insight Orb to switch weakness and resistance. Now note that you can only do it 1 time per battle, and you can only do it when there is a weakness versus a resistance, at least to my knowledge. So that being said, fighting this Shadow of Chaos, we'll do a first turn AF, because like I said, one of his abilities is he can 1 turn AF and set Magic Zone, which is really nice. And of course, by Awakening Zone, Chaos cannot set his own Chaos Zone, so too bad for him. And note that in the first turn AF, there was no weaknesses. However, after the first HP stopper, all elements are resisted, and here is where Alter Shion comes into play. Now, PerfecShion will use his Rubik's Cube and basically Paper Tiger that, so we switch weaknesses, and each of our main DPS can do damage over and over again to push through 3 HP stoppers. So one obviously very good thing about this is if the enemy doesn't really attack you, you can easily punch through some of the earlier content of the game. Anything with 1, 2, or 3 HP stoppers can easily be done, especially if it is resisted. I didn't show anything here, but remember that if you put Alter Shion and switch resistances of things like Manifest, then he can exploit damage himself. So for example, if the enemy is, not fire or wind, earth or water tend to resist the water attacks, fire attacks, then you can switch it, and so you can bring an all mono fire team, for example, to exploit that weakness, or in some cases use your switch to the most powerful element that you have against the enemy. So it is really useful if your roster is limited as well. As long as you can form 3 other units with 1 element and put Alter Shion in it, you can probably switch to whatever you need and then blast right through that content. And speaking of blasting through the content, our next example will show you what exactly I mean. So in this case, we of course have a very powerful magic team. We don't even have AS Chio here anymore because we have our 3 frontline DPS, and we also have Jet Tactician Shion. So in some of my boss fight discussion videos, a lot of times we have to have offensive supports and debuffs and so on and so forth. But when we're just doing so much damage, we just don't even have to worry about it. Look at the numbers we're popping up. And remember that Suzaku Encirclement, when it's against weakness, does is at its best. It did over 1 billion, which you can't really see from the numbers because we just have 9s everywhere. Not to say Eva and Flam are any slouch, and I realize that this video is more to feature Jet Tactician Shion, but I just want to illustrate some of the different uses you can have here. And in his case, he can be used not only as a DPS, which he clearly can do, He's also used as a great offensive support, being the fact that he is the only one in the game to be able to set preemptive zone, which allows you those first turn AS, and like I said, giving weakness multipliers as well. Don't forget that he does give weakness multipliers to the whole enemy, and if the enemy is, in this case, resists everything, then it'll be weak to everything as well. So that is great about Ultra Shion. Now, who knows in the future whether or not WFS will release more content that will have resistance, since now we have a unit that can exploit that. But certainly some of the earlier content in the game where you have a lot of that, PerfecShion is more than capable of leading a team on his own onto the battlefield and winning it outright, or if not winning it outright, helping you to win, being that you can power up your DPS or have some DPS on his own, giving mental focus to everyone. I mean, yeah, great stuff. Don't forget, he also has preemptive break, just like Curio does. So you can put that to good use, which I didn't show here, but I mean, we already won, right? So in conclusion, PerfecShion is really perfect. His Rubik Cube manipulation is unparalleled, and his ability to lead multiple types of teams, either elemental, mono-element team, magic teams, or a combination of both, will really do well. I think he's going to be a valuable unit far into the future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.